Hey guys, welcome back to Dynasty Football Live. Today we're going to be bringing you a brand new part to the episodes we're going to be coming out with and rankings tiers. We're going to start them off with our 2023 quarterback Dynasty Football rankings. I'm excited about this. I love quarterbacks. I think they're what you build your franchise around, your dynasty team around. If you don't have a good quarterback, you probably won't be winning any championships. So with that being said, once again, I'm Byron. This is my co-host, Manny, and I'm going to give it over to Manny. What you got here, Manny?
Well, this is going to be very exciting. I think it's going to be interesting, too, because I feel like last year there was a resurgence of the run game. So the style of play of the quarterback kind of changed. There was a lot less passing, even though the top guys, Mahomes and Allen and Burrow is definitely, continue to be pass happy or, continue to perform well in the passing game. I feel like the rest of the league kind of shifted to a run first or run more situation. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how these rankings play out. So let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead, Byron.
Awesome, man. So without a doubt, I got to take that two-time Super Bowl champion, Patrick Mahomes, baby. That no-look pass. Just don't quit for me. We're going to go ahead and go with him. I feel like if you're doing a dynasty startup or any kind of dynasty football league and you need quarterback, like let's just say we don't, for instance, do a double quarterback league, but if you had Patrick Mahomes, you would instantly be definitely a championship contender here. Even in a single QB league, Patrick Mahomes will definitely get you there if you're doing the right things in the other positions. So without a doubt, 100%, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes here. And with that being said, we're going to go with who we think is the number 2 elite quarterback here. Let me let you guys know that S means they are elite. Then we're going to drop down into the A, B, C, and D rankings. You're not so elite guys will be in the D. A, we feel like those guys will be the younger superstar quarterbacks that could be up and coming as well. So I just want to let you guys know a little bit of our tier system here. So with that being said, Manny, who you got number 2?
All right. Well, for me, is more of to me, he's actually my top quarterback. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit later. Yeah. But to me, the next guy in this S tier is going to be Jalen Hurts.
Wow.
I think the way he played in the Super Bowl showed that he was not a one-dimensional quarterback. I mean, he kind of showed that throughout the season, but I think in the biggest stage, he showed us, I think people expected him maybe to run the ball or maybe that to be the game plan for the Eagles. Mm-hmm. And you could tell, and I know that the Chiefs defense wasn't by any means, the elite defense that you see make it to the Super Bowl sometimes.
Yes.
But I think he did play exceptionally. He threw the ball, all over the place. And I think if it wasn't for that holding call at the end, which I believe was not the right call at that time, the ref hadn't been calling that all game, and then he makes that call. So I think if he gets a chance to score after that field goal, I think it would have been a game changer. I think that we might have seen the Eagles win the Super Bowl instead of Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So for me, the way he runs the ball, adds another level to the production as far as fantasy-wise goes. So for me, the way he threw versus the way that we also know he can run it, I think for me, he's the number 1. But either way, both of these are elite quarterbacks. So
absolutely. Yeah. So I'm gonna chime in on this because I really love Jalen Hurts, man. I think he, besides Lamar Jackson, is the more pure passer, the more reliable dual threat quarterback that we all want to get in Dynasty this year. The points that he put up last year in Dynasty and even in standard leagues was unreal. If you had Jalen Hurts on your team, you were just waxing. It's basically like having a running back and a quarterback combined into one position in one single week with your points. I mean, it's almost unfair. The points that Jalen Hurts put up last year. I mean, for me, he was the gem of the whole draft last year. If you were doing a startup league or a just, a regular, dynasty football league. But we're here to tell you about dynasty quarterbacks, so I won't get too far into that. But definitely, I agree with Jalen Hurts here. To be a second-round quarterback in the actual draft and come to where he's came is just almost it's a great story. And I'm rooting for the guy. I really like Jalen Hurts. I think he's a great quarterback. So I'm not going to ramble on too much here anymore. I'm going to get to a guy who, for sure, I feel like he just can't get over the hump in the playoffs. He can, but he needs a little bit more help. Hopefully they get DeAndre Hopkins in there for him. I know that the Bills have been linked to Hopkins this year. I'm going to go ahead and get Josh Allen. I mean, when I think of a quarterback, just any prototypical quarterback in the whole entire universe, if I could mold a quarterback, if I could mold an arm, just everything about a quarterback, it would be this guy right here. Josh Allen is everything that you want and ask for in a quarterback. I mean, rocket arm. He can scramble. He's big. He's a gamer, man. He took Mahomes to the limit. Just a coin flip, is all it took to have Mahomes come back. That's why Mahomes is our number one guy. But I believe in Josh Allen. I think he gets past the hump. He's like one piece away, man. Let's go with number 4 here. Who is your number 4 quarterback?
And to add on to what you said, I think what you said about the one piece, I mean, it could definitely be Hopkins. I think the missing piece is really, and it may affect his, production down the line, Allen, yeah. I mean, but I think the piece needs to be a consistent running back. I feel like they have a lot of, RB2s, maybe RB3s that play in that offense. And I think getting a legit running back, maybe Eckler.
They brought in Damian Harris. They did.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know if I would consider him elite. I mean, maybe it's the way he's used in the Patriots. Yeah. But yeah, I think, going along with that. But anyways, I think that definitely where he belongs in the top tier. Mm-hmm. For me, what's next is, to me, Joe Burrow. I don't think he's an elite yet, even though he is good. And you can tell me what you think about this, but I just think, in the first 2 years, even though he's put up great stats, he had kind of a slow start to the season last year. Mm-hmm. He doesn't bring as much in running points or running game as the other guys. Even though Mahomes doesn't throw or run that much, he does run a little bit, and the throwing numbers are always there with Mahomes. With Burrow, a little bit inconsistent. I know I'm being kind of picky, but I think, having the lack of running game from the quarterback position for him, and just not being as consistent, kind of a slow start and then kind of took off in the middle, late in the season. I think that's why for me, he's not elite, but he's definitely capable of being elite. I mean, he's a franchise quarterback. He's probably going to make $500 million next when it's time for him to sign a contract. So
yeah, I agree. I think that what we saw last year, I mean, he's got all the weapons he could ever want. Hey, this guy's got more weapons than a lot of these guys could ever want. Like, I feel like if Mahomes had the same weapons as Burrow, he probably would have, 2 or 3, or he's got 2, but he would have at least 3 championships by now. I do think that Burrow is elite, given the fact that he's been to a Super Bowl and Josh Allen hasn't been to a Super Bowl. I feel like that gives him the upper hand when we call quarterbacks elite. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to move Mr. Joe Burrow up into the top of that, and we're going to bump down Josh Allen into the A. We're going to have a little fun here, because I feel like when you talk about an elite quarterback, you have to ask yourself, have they been to a Super Bowl? Have they been to the big dance? And all 3 of them quarterbacks up there have been to the big dance, and they're all young. So we're going to switch it up here. We're going to play a little as we go. We can slide them up, slide them down. And that's why we here at Dynasty Football Live, we don't necessarily just say, oh, boom, this is what we're sticking with. This is where we're going. We're going to have a conversation with you, and we're going to play around as we go. So with that being said, do you have anything to add on my change here?
No, I love it. I agree with you. I think, the elite of the elite are going to have that that trip to the Super Bowl. And we saw Burrow was seconds away. If he had one or two more seconds to throw to Chase, he could have won a Super Bowl. So I definitely agree with this change. I like that Allen is definitely elite, but he just needs to show a little more. So yeah, that's a good change. I like the update.
I feel like when you get over the hump and make it to a Super Bowl, we can put you up there with the S boys. Okay, so we're gonna move on with the A's. Who you got now? Who's the number 5 guy?
Well, actually, it's your turn.
Oh, is it mine? I forgot. Okay,
no, it's all right. It's all right.
I'm thinking in real life. That on my Dynasty football team, I own Burrow, so I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah. So who's next for me?
Yeah.
There's only one guy that I could even think about that goes after this tier. And for me, what he's done in his career and where he's at, a lot of people may not like this, but I'm going to take Lamar Jackson here. Okay. And I think that this guy has never had an elite receiver to throw to. This guy has never had help besides a dynasty elite tight end. Marquise Brown wasn't that dude. Rashad Bateman ain't that dude. And definitely Tylan Wallace and, whoever else they try to come in there. They need to go get this guy some help. If not, get him out of town, ship him off, and start your franchise over, because you are ruining Lamar Jackson's career right now. You are basically ruining his career. And it makes me sad because the guy has just as much talent as any of the guys we're talking about right here. And when he had his breakout MVP season, there wasn't anyone even on the same level. Not Mahomes, not anyone. I mean, this dude set the record for rushing for a quarterback in a single season. Think about the people that we talk about when we talk about people like that. Mike Vick, right? Mm-hmm. Who has done that? I mean, none of these guys have done that. So the danger that this guy brings, or the threat that he brings with his legs, a little bit inconsistent on his accuracy, but he's shown that he can sling it with the best of them. So for me, it's Lamar Jackson here.
Awesome. I definitely like this pick. And since you have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson next to each other right now, there's a rumor that Hopkins may actually go to the Ravens. So let's see what happens there as far as who takes that next step. If obviously Lamar gets an actually legit weapon, or if Allen just gets another one. Obviously he has Diggs, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with those two. If Hopkins does go to either of those teams. As far as our next quarterback, this guy just had a breakout second half. Mm-hmm. I'm taking a little bit of a leap. Maybe you can chime in on what you think about this pick, but I just think the running upside is extremely important with this guy. He was having ridiculous games, breaking records. I think for me, if he gets him maybe another weapon, I know he just got DJ Moore, but if maybe he gets someone else in the draft like JSN or something like that, absolutely. If his passing game develops past what we've seen with that running that he has, he's basically, Lamar 2.0 at this point. I know maybe him being in this tier is a little controversial because, he's not as much of a polished passer, but I think he's definitely trending up. And his passing game definitely improved later in the season. So that's who I have as my next quarterback.
Awesome. I couldn't agree more. And our rankings are going to be a little bit more, we like to take chances here. We like to see it before it actually happens. And what you just did, you saw it before it actually happened. There was no one even close to this guy's production in the second half of the season last year. I mean, Fields was putting 50-point games up in Dynasty in fantasy football last year, and I was just like, oh my God, look at these numbers this guy's throwing out. It is ridiculous what he did in the second half last year. And if you just give him that piece that he's missing, I feel like last year the piece that he was really missing was an elite running back. And now if the Bears feel like it, they could come up and grab a guy like Bijan or Jahmyr Gibbs, some dual threat that he can dump off to in the backfield that, would even help even more. You got your receivers. I feel like they got the receivers now. And I feel like they got their tight ends because they brought in Tanyan. They got Komet. Now we got DJ Moore over here. We got Claypool. We got Mooney. Now let's go get us a running back. I feel like Foreman, they brought him in as a goal line back. I feel like he could do that Jamal Williams type vibe there. Very, very good yards per carry on that guy. They shipped off Montgomery. I feel like he danced around too much in the pocket. Really wasn't too much of a home run threat running back for him. So I feel like you bring in some fresh legs at running back that you feel like it's elite. It would help out this guy tremendously. So he's not running for his life. So anyways, I'm going to get to the next guy here. And I'm happy to announce this pick. He's our fourth here in the A rankings, Justin Herbert. And Justin, that is Kenny Pickett. We're going to go find Justin.
All right. I appreciate that.
I got that long hair vibe going.
They're like twins. All right.
That's funny. We're very, very close. But anyways, Justin Herbert for me, before last year, man, gosh, there wasn't much that you could say. He was probably right after Allen last year. Had a little bit of a rough go last year. I mean, he's still there for me as coming up elite quarterbacks. I think you can't go wrong with his arm, what he does on the run, throwing the ball. A guy can ball, dude. So Herbert is my fourth here in the A rankings. Do you have anything to note about Justin Herbert?
I like him here. I think he showed us, his rookie year and even his second year, how, what he can do, what he's capable of. I don't know if it's, the Chargers team or the culture as a whole. There's something about the Chargers. They have Rivers before. Now they have Herbert, and they just can't take that next step as far as, playoffs and eventually Super Bowl win. It seems something about that team. They're always in the top of the offense rankings, but for some reason they can't take that next leap. I'm curious to see what happens this year. They might lose Eckler. I wonder if maybe they get Gibbs, maybe they get Bijan if he actually falls that far, which I don't think he will. But I'm curious to see what he does next and if he can take the game to the next level. Last year he was supposed to be, kind of continue the breakout that he had the previous year. Yeah. And to me, he fell short. Obviously, there were some injuries at receiver and other positions that were important to him. So, and Eckler kind of shined. I mean, even though Eckler to me was already elite last year, he took it to another level. So, I wonder what's going to happen with the running back change, but potentially, and if maybe they draft another receiver. I don't know. Keenan's getting older. I'm curious to see what happens with Herbert because, we already saw what happened with Rivers. Hall of Fame career, always kind of in the mix, but just couldn't get to the next level. So very interested to see. I like him here. That's what I think about him.
I got one more thing to add. I feel like injuries on this guy's his supporting cast is really handicapped what he can make this team. I feel like the year before or last year, Eckler was hurt. He had the hamstring injury. And then we also saw Allen go out for a little bit last year. And then Mike Williams couldn't stay on the field to save his life. He doesn't really have a great tight end to throw to. I mean, there's way better options, I feel like, that you could plug in there. I also feel like, Josh Palmer is coming up to help this kid out. Josh Palmer was really the only consistent wide receiver that actually stayed on the field for him last year, but that's just my 2 cents there. If we can just get his team to stay on the field, I think he makes playoffs and makes a deep run. I believe in this guy, and I think he is a definite superstar, up-and-coming quarterback that you just cannot miss with. So who you got next, Manny?
All right. This guy is I can't say that I'm biased. He is my quarterback, but I think he belongs here. I think he's here in the second tier, and that is Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely.
I think he's going to take it to the next level. He has Ridley now. They may even get another weapon, maybe a different tight end. I know I think they tagged Ingram. Maybe they, complete that process, get an extension, or maybe they even draft another tight end to go with him, or draft a receiver. I just think he takes it to the next level. He can run it. He can throw it. Last year in the second half of the season, I think he was like top 5 quarterback in stats ranking. So for me, I hope that he continues to progress and to take it to the next level, just because obviously he's my quarterback. So I hope that that investment that I took on him pans out. But I'm very excited. I hope, I was kind of I mean, it was probably more Urban Meyer than anything, but he had kind of a rough rookie season, and I'm glad that he was able to turn around with, with a new coaching staff and all of that. So what do you think about this?
I love it. I think he deserves to be there. I think with the weapons that are bringing around him, you got the ETN, you got Calvin Ridley that's going to be his probably go-to wide receiver this year. You got Evan Ingram at tight end who had a breakout season last year. I also believe in the other wide receivers that they have. Christian Kirk, they got him in there. Zay Jones is coming off of a little bit of a breakout season. So I feel like the weapons are there. It's your time to shine, Trevor. And I think that, with the number 1 overall pick, they didn't go wrong there. This guy is who we thought he was, in the words of Dennis Green. So we're gonna easily take him in here in this tier. With that being said, I've got one more guy. One more makes our A rankings here.
Okay.
And this may surprise a lot of you. He surprised me. I'm going Brock Purdy here. I'm putting Brock Purdy right there.
Wow.
Think about what this guy did last year. He stepped in as Mr. Irrelevant. This takes balls, right? You got a guy sitting behind you that got hurt that came. They gave up 3 first rounders for. This dude stepped in and took you as far as you've been in the playoffs in the last 10 to 15 years. I'm going Brock Purdy right here. The poise that he showed, the man, the myth, Brock Purdy is my last tier A quarterback. He's young. I think if everything checks out with that UCL injury, I think he's going to come in, and I don't think you're going to see Trey Lance anymore. I think they ended up trying to trade him to maybe the Packers or a QB needy team later on. I think they try to recoup their picks from I wouldn't say bust yet. The guy broke his leg. I don't feel like Trey Lance is coming back in next year and starting over Purdy. That is my honest opinion. That is what I think. And I think Brock Purdy showed me enough last year that he could be a franchise QB. And that's what I'm going with. So who you got? Do you have anything to add about my surprise here in Brock Purdy? I'm not scared to take chances here. And I feel like he showed me enough to where I can invest in him this high.
Well, that definitely surprised me. I agree. I mean, I think he played, beyond anyone's expectations last year, especially being Mr. Irrelevant. I think that was more due to his size than anything else. Watching him at Iowa State, he was just as good as he was here. But, Iowa State, not really known for their QBs. Obviously, Breece Hall was kind of the star of the show when he was there. So, that's probably didn't help him in the draft scouting process, but I don't know if I can have him here, not because of what he did, because I do agree with you. I think he needs to be a 1 tier lower, and it's just because of the injury.
Let's move him down to B right now.
Because a lot of, and I'm going back just to baseball here, and a lot of pitchers, when they have it, they come back and they're fine. They even throw even harder, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And I know it's not baseball, but they are throwing. So that scares me as far as production going to next year. But I definitely agree with you. I mean, it surprised me, but I agree with you.
I feel like he's a solid B though. We'll take him in B. I feel like what I saw him do in the playoffs and where he came from was almost Tom Brady-esque. That's what gives me the feeling that this guy is a franchise quarterback. You think about where they picked him. This guy is pissed off. He came in. You got a guy behind you in Trey Lance that they mortgaged the whole future for. And now they're thinking about, wow, look what we did here. That's the whole picture I saw. I do think he's in B. Maybe I jumped the gun a little bit there in A. But do you have anybody with your next pick that you could put into the 6th spot there for A? Are we going to B?
Honestly, there is one guy. This actually may surprise you. I don't know. Okay. It sounds weird. I'm almost afraid to say it, but
wow.
Jared Goff.
Wow. Well, he has been to a Super Bowl. I'll give him that. Okay, he's got the pedigree there, and he does have weapons galore now. So I can see him.
He had one of his best seasons since he went to the Super Bowl, and he was low key kind of tossed aside because he played for the Lions, even though the Lions were a really good team last year. I think they excelled everyone's expectations.
Okay.
I know it sounds weird, and he's already kind of, not late into his career, but obviously he's an established starter in the league, and people made fun of, the Lions with that trade and taking on that contract. He's produced. Last year he produced. This year he played even better.
Yeah.
It sounds weird to put.
I think you're right there, because if you look at again, when we here at Dynasty Football Live, when we invest in a quarterback this high, we also look at the supporting cast that the quarterback has to offer you for the next 5-6 years. Think about who this guy's got. He's got Jamison Williams. He's got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's got 2 stud running backs in Swift and Montgomery now. Yeah. Hopefully they get him a tight end in there, which you'll see in our other mock draft that we did recently. We do get him a tight end. We also like to look at the production over the years that they have played. And I feel like, you can't really go off that with Purdy. So again, we moved him down to B. We like to do things on the fly, like here, have a little fun. We're all humans, and we can agree to disagree. So that's what we're doing here. And I like the pick. I'm glad that you moved him up. And I think that, the trade really pissed him off. He was like, man, what are you doing? I took you guys to a Super Bowl. You're going to trade me? All right, I'm going to go ball out in Detroit. Screw you guys. I'm out of here. Y'all have fun with Stafford's blown out arm or whatever he did when he was over there, because really Stafford hadn't done anything until last year when he won. Obviously they ended up sneaking out that Super Bowl over the Bengals. So.
Well, winning wise, he hadn't, but he'd been putting off stats for years.
Yeah, I get it. I just never really been a Stafford believer. He had an elite defense with that team. That's really, to me, what won them that Super Bowl. It really wasn't Stafford per se, but you got to have the quarterback. So, with that being said, I'm gonna move on to my next tier quarterback here. And,
actually, I wanted to say one more thing about Goff real quick.
Okay.
You mentioned having Jamison Williams as the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
He had like 5 catches or something in the season, so he put up those stats. Obviously, DJ Chark kind of stayed healthy and kind of broke out a little bit. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he didn't even use Jamison Williams, who was a top 10 pick or top 12 pick in the draft, and we know what he can do with his speed, I'm excited to see what Goff can do.
Yeah.
Even though they may actually draft his potential successor. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. The Lions are drafting very well lately. Lately last year. And who knows? Maybe Goff is the guy for them. But I'm just saying, they didn't even use Jamison Williams that much, and he put up the numbers he put up. So I'm very excited to see what happens next year, even though I am a Packers fan and I'm dying inside a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyways, go on. What do you have next?
So next here on the tier rankings, I'm going to go with a guy that may or may not be in the league the next 3 or 4 years, but he looks great, and he also has a great supporting cast. I'm going to go to a Tua Tagovailoa here. I feel like he really showed me that he can be a franchise quarterback last year. He kind of popped out a little bit before his injuries. I know they threw him in there with the concussions. He scares me a little bit on that area, but I feel like if you're looking for a quarterback to invest in that's still young, that still has elite weapons around him, I feel like you cannot go wrong with Tua here. Having Tyreek Hill, having Jalen Waddle, they lost Gesicki in free agency and Hunter Long. So we'll see who they replace there at tight end for them. I feel like the running backs were the same people they had last year. So this offense was pretty high powered last year, if you look back at it, when actually Tua was in there. So I'm going Tua. Do you have anything to add here?
I love Tua. Obviously, I just like most people, I'm sure, we're a little unsure what was happening with Tua. How his career started, how there all those rumors about trading for a quarterback and him not being the guy and being the guy and then not being the guy and all this back and forth. I think he showed us last year that he can be the guy. To me, he's in the A tier if it wasn't for the injuries that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So because he was elite when he was healthy, he was elite. But you got part of the rankings and part of all this thing is staying on the field. You can't put up stats if you don't stay on the field. So I think for me, B is just right for him. Even though I think he can be A, or even if he can stay healthy with those weapons, he could be elite.
Yeah.
He could be in the top tier. He just needs to stay on the field. He already showed us what he can do. If he's given a chance, has a coach that kind of advocates for him and kind of makes the offense kind of make it fit around him. So obviously the weapons don't help, but yeah, I agree with you. I think this is right where he belongs. But if he stays healthy, I think we can bump him up a little bit, but we don't want to get there just yet, especially with what we just said about Purdy. So I think he's just right for him.
Awesome. Hey, so let's move along here. Who you got next, man? This is where it gets tricky. This is where it gets tricky because now I feel like all of our young studs that we've actually seen in the league are almost off the board. I think there's a few more that we could throw in there, but I'll let you be the deciding factor there.
Well, I'll start by saying this is strictly football related. Deshaun Watson.
Wow.
I know he had, an off year last year when he did eventually get off suspension. We know what he can do. We know we've seen what he did with the Texans. And he didn't play for a year and a half. Yeah. So obviously there's some rust in there, and he just kind of started to get a little off. Towards the end of the year, he had at least one really good game. Didn't blow you up with stats, but he was very efficient, and I think he had 3 touchdowns. So I think similar-ish in a way that we talk about, being consistent and being on the field. Obviously, we didn't see him the last year and a half, so you know what he can do. I think he could potentially go higher football-wise in the tier rankings. Yeah, but I gotta see what happens this offseason. He has a whole offseason to continue to learn the playbook, kind of mesh with his receivers. They just got Elijah Moore. They just added another weapon. Cooper. That was, to me, obviously it was a cat move, but to me, Cooper was the steal of I guess technically free agency, even though it was a trade. So I think he can be higher. It just remains to be seen if he can get that rust off and then continue to perform like he did with the Texans.
Okay. I agree. Not too much to add here. Me being a Houston Texans fan, I have a bitter taste in my mouth about this guy, about, how we did him and he did us. It was not a fun time being a Texans fan, but we're on the up and coming. So hopefully we get us a replacement for him. Hope he does well over there, man. They mortgage the future for sure with that guaranteed contract they gave him. They trying to bring him some weapons right now. Hopefully he gets the ball in again, man. I don't know what to say too much about the whole lawsuit case and all that stuff, but that's for another day, another time. I'm gonna go on to my next pick here, and I feel like this guy easily and used to kind of be up into the top 3 in the A's, in the A rankings, but I feel like after last year and what happened to him with the torn ACL, Kyler Murray. He's the next one off the board here for me. He's over there to the right. There you go. And Kyler Murray, he still got it to me. He hurt himself. He struggled a little bit last year. Hopkins was out half the season, came back. We saw what he could do. They started balling again. Still have some weapons in Rondale Moore there and Marquise Brown coming over. I think they could get him jump started. Still have Ertz and the new guy McBride there at tight end. Feel like James Conner still helps that team. And I feel like they need to get him another superstar wide receiver in the draft to really replace what they're going to lose in Hopkins. And maybe when they trade him, they can get a 1 and come back and get him some help. I still believe in Kyler Murray. I think he's definitely an A quarterback, but last year he didn't show us that. He fell off for the first time in his career. So with me here, it's going to be Kyler Murray.
All right. Yeah, I think one kind of trend that we have here with with the Beast is just consistency. I think especially last year, it's kind of up and down. And then Hopkins wasn't there at first, then he was there, and then the way they started last year, and then all of a sudden they fell off. I'm not saying that was on Murray. I'm just saying in general as a team.
Yeah.
Now they have a new coach. Let's see what happens there. But yeah, I think this is where he belongs, and his rushing upside is just ridiculous when it comes to Dynasty. Just like we talked about with Lamar Jackson and Allen and Hurts and to an extent Lawrence. So this is where he belongs. For me, who's next? And I'm not gonna kind of go into it too deep, but I think he showed us last year that he can be a legit starter in the league.
Yeah.
And I think it's Jones.
Wow, I like that. Yeah.
We knew he could run, as long as he can stay on his feet and not fall and trip over his own feet. We know he can go deep. He's a very underrated-ish runner with the ball. He showed us he can throw it. He had no one except for Hodges last year towards the end. Galladay was
non-existent.
A huge bust. Shepard is elite. He can be elite, or at least elite close adjacent. He can't stay on the field. No. They lost Tony. Whatever happened there. Traded him away. And Robinson. I mean,
let's just face it. The whole offense revolved around Barkley.
Yeah.
And Jones last year. And Jones is very, very good. A very underrated scrambling quarterback. His mobility, it shocks me at times. I know that he tripped and fell on his own feet on that breakaway touchdown that one time, but, we won't talk too much about that. The dude can put up rushing TDs. Before this year, he had a little bit of a fumbling issue. You go back and look at that, and you were like, wow, is this really what we need here? They were scratching their heads. They gave him another chance, brought in Brian Daboll, and he changed this guy's career, man. This guy just got paid, boy. So happy for Daniel Jones there, man. I believe this is a good pick here. I believe that he's there for a reason here in our B rankings, and I'm going to move on here to the next one. This is the point in the segment where I feel like we've talked about pretty much all the quarterbacks we need to talk about. This is our rapid fire section. So we're just going to start busting off who we want to fill up B, C, and D to get this moving along here faster for you guys. So for me, the next guy off the board here in B will be Dak Prescott. I feel like he could take your team as far as he actually takes his team in the actual real NFL. This is the kind of guy that will start very, very hot. He'll flame off and then come back hot. He just, the consistency again here with this guy. I feel like he has the weapons in Pollard. He's got CD Lamb. Now they brought in Brandon Cooks. Now they've got, they got Gallup there still. Gallup. Yeah. So losing Zeke, that's good for Pollard. Hopefully he can come in and keep doing what he did. Hopefully they draft a guy at running back to replace him. I feel like it's an easy choice for me here with Dak Prescott. So who you got next, Manny?
All right. Next I have Geno Smith.
Wow.
It sounds weird.
Woo! Geno coming back.
It's weird to say this. I mean,
Rookie of the year, or was he the comeback player of the year? I think he was, right?
I think he may have been. I don't know. I think that should go to like an injury comeback. But stat-wise, I mean, he resurrected his career with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I think it's weird. I brought up golf and now Geno, but anyways, I don't have a lot to say. I think everyone was concerned. I mean, if you're a Seahawks fan about what the Seahawks were going to do at quarterback, Pete Carroll was steadfast and he was like, Geno's our guy almost from day one, even after the trade with the Broncos. And then, they brought in the other quarterback and, I don't think he ever thought that he would start. So Geno was the guy from day one and he proved him right. And I think he could potentially, I mean, he had a really, really good season, but he could potentially even play better next year. Now that he has an off season with I guess he played for the Seahawks before, but as a starter, have an off season where he's the guy getting the reps and all that. I don't want to keep rambling, but yeah, Geno Smith for me here.
Awesome. So next year, I'm going Kenny Pickett. I like Kenny Pickett here in the B ranking still. Just for he's over there to the left, sandwiched in between a long neck. Can't miss that.
It's funny. I picked him instead of Herbert, and then I couldn't find him. Okay.
Yeah. So for me, again, it has to do with weapons. I feel like, this dude's got George Pickens now. He's got Deontay Johnson. You have Najee back there. You got Pat Freiermuth at tight end. So the sky's the limit for this guy. He really kind of brought it on as the season wore on. Being a rookie, he kind of really impressed me. I definitely think that he deserves to actually be a little bit higher in these rankings. But I'm going to stick with Pickett here. So that's my pick. Who you got next, Manny?
I have Russell Wilson.
Ooh-wee. Still believe in him, huh? Yeah.
Well, I'm not a huge Russell guy, but I think the change from the Seahawks, I think not only him, I think everyone expected a smooth transition after being with the Seahawks for almost a decade, if not a decade. Was it 10 years? I don't know. But he's there for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I think it's not as easy of a transition as probably he expected, or even the fan base and for the Broncos. Obviously it could have been the coaching as well. We don't know. But I think this is low for him. He should be higher. Let's just see if he bounces back. So
I think you could definitely roll a dice on Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
All right. So I get to go here next. When we talk about Dynasty Football and where you want to be with your team and the kind of chances you want to take, for me right here, right now, I don't want to roll a dice on anyone else in the B tier except – man, and this is I know he's old here, but I feel like you got to put him in the B tier, and that's Aaron Rodgers. I know he's old, and if he goes to the Jets, look at the weapons he's going to have, which I feel like we all feel like he's going to go to the Jets. I feel like Aaron Rodgers can easily get you to a championship. I actually traded him away on Dynasty and gave up on him a few years ago, and what does he do the next year? He wins a freaking MVP. So I think Rodgers, with the weapons that he's going to end up having over there with the Jets, is just going to make him happier. I believe in him still, and I think that he could. If you roll the dice at this point after these quarterbacks on Aaron Rodgers, it would definitely pay off for your Dynasty Football team. Do you have anything to add on Aaron?
Honestly, as a Packer fan, this is tough. Talking about the Jets, but you know what? As a Packer fan, I know that the moment Gutekunst got there, one of his first moves was to release Jordy Nelson, and I know he was older, but you need a number 2 guy, a reliable number 2 to pair with Adams, who at that point had broken out. Did that. We kind of put Band-Aids around the receiver position. Mm-hmm. Our team was always close to. Definitely in the playoffs, close to the NFC Championship or even the Super Bowl. Like that was definitely the projection or the goal, and we were there, and we never went for it. So as a fan, I think if he goes to the Jets, he's gonna have a bounce back year. Last year, I think the Packers were top in the league in drop passes too. So it wasn't all him, his play dropping off. I think it was a combination of the passes being dropped. The offense they run there, I'm not a huge fan of the offense they run in Green Bay right now. I do enjoy the run, but I don't know. You have Aaron Rodgers. You should have a little bit more balance than we did. Anyways, I think if the Jets get the weapons that they're projected to get, which OBJ is one of them, they go all in. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
Absolutely. And that's why he lands here in the B.
In Dynasty, not just the NFL, Dynasty.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like he's not quite done. I feel like you can get 2 more years out of him, but the production that he's going to give you at this point with all these other guys off the board, I feel like he was the best available to take your team to a Dynasty Football championship. And that's why we do these tier rankings. For me, he doesn't slip out of, the top 3 tiers at all, just because of who he is and what he's done. We're going to go ahead and roll the dice with him right here. So who you got next, bud?
For me, I'm not a huge fan of this guy. It's probably because he plays for the Vikings, but Kirk Cousins, he's going to be in B for me. He's been consistent stat-wise. He hasn't, really wowed anyone, but he's putting up consistent stats. I wonder what's going to happen now that, Thielen is gone, with the Vikings, how that's going to affect, if anything. I know they're probably going to get drafted running a receiver in the draft, but that's where I have him here. B.
Oh, I agree, man.
He doesn't. He's a blah. He doesn't.
But we go back to weapons here, and he's got Hawkinson and he's got Jay Jettis. So having just Justin Jefferson alone would for me be enough to put him here in the B.
Yeah.
Do we have one more room for a B quarterback here, or is it you don't think he's going to fit? We'll go with C now. We'll start with the C's.
I think we can make it fit. I think it drops down, so we can do.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go one more. I have to do this. I have to put one more here in the B's. For me, it's going to be. I'm going to take a chance here, and we don't know what he is in the NFL. But when you talk about having a quarterback on your team that you can grow with, and we feel like he's going to be the number 1 quarterback in this year's draft, I'm taking CJ Stroud for the last selection here in B. I think, or I don't know if he's the last, but for me, I feel like CJ Stroud, with the weapons that he will end up having if he is the number 1 overall pick, which as of right now, he is the consensus number 1 overall pick. If you're looking at Vegas odds, betting odds, just chatter around the league, everyone is agreeing that CJ Stroud is possibly the number 1 pick. It may be different, but for me, if he lands in Carolina with the receivers that he's going to have, and Adam Thielen, Terrace Marshall, and DJ Chark, you're looking at obviously they brought in Miles Sanders, so that's a high-powered offense to start off as with a rookie, and I feel like he could be at the top of the B's before the end of the 2023 season. That's just my opinion. So, you have anything to add about CJ here?
Well, not to mention having an elite defense, which they do. I think they had a top 10 defense. I think that's going to give them more chances to the offense, get the ball back in their hands. And like you said, with the receivers they have, Shark was at one point number 1 receiver. Wide receiver 1, and injuries kind of derailed that. But I mean, I think he's still young enough to be that guy potentially. They have Thielen, who, production is, he's very consistent, and Marshall, we still haven't seen it, but we've seen kind of glimpses of what he can be potentially. I like CJ Stroud here.
Absolutely. And that's I think for me, when we talk about the B tier quarterbacks, I think there's maybe a couple more we could throw in there. Do you have anyone else for B with your next pick?
I have one guy. You may not agree. He may be the first of C's. Let me know what you think, but I think Derek Carr.
With the Saints, absolutely. With Olave and the Kamara, and Mike Thomas, man.
Well, we'll see what happens with Kamara. No one knows what's happening, if he's going to be suspended or not. I thought he was going to be suspended last year. He wasn't.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I mean, with the weapons that he has there,
they brought in Jamal Williams.
Exactly. I think he needed a fresh start. Yeah. He got one, and he didn't have a bad year by any means last year. He didn't have a great year. He didn't have a bad year. He was just, he's a starter in the NFL. That's what he is. So I think he's borderline B, C, maybe the top of the C's, bottom of the B's.
Yeah.
But obviously we know what he is. But anyways, that's what I have here.
Cool, man. All right. So I'm going to start off the C tier because I don't feel like there's really anyone else that I could put into the B tier. The guys that just missed the B tier for me I'm going to start off with one of them. And that's just simply because I feel like this guy is the most disrespected quarterback in the entire NFL. I feel like everywhere he goes, they just wipe him away like he's didn't take them to the playoffs, and it really pisses me off. And I hope he absolutely wrecks it with the Raiders. I'm going with Jimmy Garoppolo here. This guy right here, I think with Devontae Adams, I think it's going to be something very, very nasty. You got Hunter Renfrow coming back, and they just got Jacoby Myers in there for him, and you have the league's leading rusher right behind you in Josh Jacobs. So I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo comes back with McDaniels there from their times or from their days when they were with the Patriots together. So I feel like he's going to start me off with the C's just on production and what he's done and his supporting cast.
All right. Yeah. Now that we're in the C's and D's, we're going to speed things a little more just because it's, these are the bottom tier guys. Doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. Obviously, they're in the NFL, but in some cases, we haven't seen what they are in the NFL, and in some cases, they're veterans like Garoppolo. I think he can be. I think the issue with him for me is consistency. When he's in there, he's one of the best quarterbacks as far as winning goes. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. It's just the problem is staying healthy. We'll see if that happens with the Raiders. For me, the next guy. Man, it's tough. Slim Pickens over here. I know I was going to go faster, but now I'm like struggling here. I'm going to go Mac Jones. I think I'm not going to go too deep into it. I think he had an off year. I don't think it was all him. Belichick was undecisive, which is kind of weird to say in a sentence, but he couldn't decide on offensive coordinator. He had Matt Patricia, which he's like he at one point was the top defensive coordinator. For some reason, he had him doing the offense. They had him Judge doing the offense. I think he had some hand. It was kind of a mess. The offense was a mess. So I think Mac Jones can be higher, but obviously we saw what he did his rookie year or second year. He kind of dropped off. Maybe the third year he goes back into potentially the B tier. But for me right now, he's in the C's. Okay,
awesome. Let's put him in the C's there, and we got him there. I'm gonna go back to the beginning here, and I'm going as a franchise, right? You want to start your dynasty team off the right way. You fresh start, right? You need a guy with more promise than Jimmy Garoppolo. So I want you to move this guy in front of Jimmy Garoppolo, first in line on the C's. I'm going Bryce Young here.
Okay.
Bryce Young, I feel like he brings more value to your dynasty football team. I completely went blank on that pick. I would have actually picked him in front of Garoppolo there, even considering this is just an age difference here. We don't know what he's going to do in the NFL, but if he lands with the Texans and a coach like DeMeco Ryans and a franchise that has just been, shattered since Watson left, I feel like they're just going to shower him with whatever he wants. I feel like they have enough draft capital to go get him all and any weapons that he needs. So for me, it's going to be Bryce Young, and I'm going to move him right in first in line in the tier C's here, possibly even bottom of the B's because of just where he's, what you could do with a quarterback that on your team.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put him in the B's.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Let's put
him in front of Carr. Let's move him even further. Okay. Yeah. Right behind Stroud. I think that's a great move. We slept on Bryce Young, and I don't think we need to. So let's do that.
Yeah. And a lot of it has to do with potential. A lot of these guys that are in the lower tiers is necessarily had to do with skill. It has to do with, we haven't seen it. So potential wise, the sky's the limit for those two guys. Absolutely. Obviously, they wouldn't be, considered as a top pick in the NFL if they weren't. So, as of right now, let's see how that ages. But good pick. For me, I'm actually going to do something similar that you did, and I'm going to go with Jordan Love. And I'm not going to go in B's, but I'm going to put him in the top of the C's.
Absolutely.
And the reason I do that is because he definitely
one. Okay. There he goes.
It doesn't, he has a running upside, even though we haven't seen him play a lot. When he has been in, at least last year, not before, but last year he showed glimpses of what he can do. He had a great touchdown pass, obviously later in the game, but he had a great touchdown pass to Christian Watson. Him and Watson and some of the other receivers, Dubs, I think Aaron Jones too, are working with him in California to kind of build the chemistry, with Aaron Rodgers essentially, potentially, even though he's on the team, being shipped off to the Jets. So I think he can be a lot higher, but you just haven't seen it. But I think it'd be interesting. I mean, he has the offense down. He just doesn't have a lot of the reps, even though he's had it the last couple of off seasons.
Yeah,
because Rodgers hasn't been there, and during the season he's not getting those reps. A lot of positive stuff has been coming out from both the team, which obviously, Goody wants to throw some positive stuff. I mean, I'm gonna stay positive. But anyways, Love, I think he could definitely be. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, so I'm gonna pick here next, and I'm going again with a younger guy. He goes on this channel here at Dynasty Football Live. He goes by Mr. Olympia. Okay, I'm dubbing him Mr. Olympia for a reason, because he crushed it at the combine for any quarterback we've ever seen. We're going to take AR-15, aka AR-15. That's another nickname that's cool, man. Just imagine having a quarterback on your team, and you could just put an AR-15 as your logo, as your dynasty team, because you got this guy at quarterback, Anthony Richardson. I feel like if he lands with the Colts, I feel like he's gonna right away have the supporting cast that he needs. We're going back to the first video. They do not have Paris Campbell. He moved on to the Giants. That was my mistake, by the way. So we're all human. We make big mistakes. But anyways, he will have Pierce, and he will have Pittman, and he will have Jonathan Taylor behind him. So we like the chances that he gives us moving forward. So we're going to see Anthony Richardson come off the board here in the C's.
All right. This might shock some people. For me, and this guy could be. Obviously, I was gonna say Stafford could be in here, but he's been. I don't even know if he's playing. He's kind of in limbo a little bit. I'm not gonna say Stafford, but I am gonna say a guy, and maybe you guys don't agree. But I love Hendon Hooker, and I want to put him ahead. Just because I think he's more of a polished passer than Richardson. He can run it. I don't know if you agree, but I'm going to go ahead and do this.
Oh, wow. Oof.
And I think he's getting slept on. He's getting disrespected. He should have been a Heisman candidate. He wasn't. I don't think injuries should be, obviously if you get injured second game, third game, but you play basically the whole season. You have better stats than people that played a whole season. You should be in the Heisman conversation, especially after the turnaround in Tennessee. Like, they were basically in the playoffs if it wasn't for that loss to South Carolina. So for me, he's a polished passer. I don't believe that there's a scheme situation where the scheme is making him better than he is. I think he's a polished passer. He's been in that, been through some trials and tribulations, health-wise, career-wise. In college, he's mature. He can run it. He's a very underrated runner, very good running upside, and maybe not as fast, obviously, as Richardson, but I think he's getting slept on. So that's what I have here.
I agree. I'll take that. All right. So moving along here, I'm going to actually move this guy right behind Jordan Love in the C's. I feel like if he gets traded and Brock is the guy, and he goes to a team like the Redskins that are quarterback needy, or the Falcons who really don't believe in Ritter, even though they have come out and said they do, but let's just say he landed on a team like that, or even the Bucs who really, really, really need a franchise quarterback, Trey Lance. I feel like his upside could be massive here, and I feel like he's getting slept on massively right now. So I'm going to move him right behind Jordan Love there in the C's. That's my pick for the C's.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know if I have another C guy. Everyone else is. I don't know.
What about Stafford? Do you think he could come back, or maybe a Will Levis at this point? I don't know. I think there's
potential for Will Levis. I guess we can put him there.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big Levis fan. I think to be honest, I think we're almost done. I mean, the rest of the guys are either not necessarily going to be like Ritter for. I mean, I guess we can put Ritter in there too.
Yeah, let's rapid fire these off. I think we're pretty much.
Let's go left to right here.
Okay,
we have.
So we'll let you go, and then me. We'll just pick these off to finish this out real quick. Who you got behind Ritter?
This is tough. You know what? Mayfield went to the Bucks, right?
Yeah.
He's at least going to get a chance to start. I think we've seen really good things from him. We've also seen really bad things from him. Let's see what happens.
All right. I'm going to go next here. I'm going to put Stafford there.
Okay.
Actually, move Stafford ahead of Baker. Please do that for me. I'd stand Baker.
You know what? I'm going to get Heineke, and I'm going to actually put him ahead of Mayfield just because.
All right.
I feel like they're very similar.
Well, if Ritter doesn't work out, I feel like he could definitely step in there in Atlanta and take over the reins if Ritter kind of just has a collapse. So.
No, absolutely. And I think even though they're very similar right here, Mayfield and Heineke, you can tell Heineke, the players want to play for him, which is a trait that's very underrated and very important as a quarterback. And, he almost beat Tom Brady. Let's not forget about that. So I think that to me would be the last guy.
No more C's, no more vitamin C for us today. We're going down here to the D's, which really these guys could resurge their careers. But as of right now, they are just bottom of the barrel. Really not what we're looking for in Dynasty.
We're just young, too. There's some of them are young.
I'm going to go with Sam Howell here to start off the D's. I think that that he could, if he starts for the the Commanders this year, he could step in and maybe be the guy. They brought in Brissett, so I think they're going to give him a little bit of a chance to start the season to show if really he can be a franchise QB. Could be another Brock Purdy here. He did very well in North Carolina. I like to roll the dices this late, and Sam Howell would be one of the guys that I do that with.
Okay. I'm going to go with I know he might be a bust, but it could be early. I think if Rodgers goes there, he learns from Rodgers. Obviously, he has the skill set. The talent is there. The arm talent is there. The problem is, up here, whether he can process the information, make the right reads, and do all that. So I'm going to go with Zach Wilson just because he was second overall pick. He's still young. I think he probably could have probably it would have been better for him if he had been watching instead of playing right away. So that's what I have there.
All right, so next I'm gonna put this as a combo. We don't have this guy's emoji on here, unfortunately. I wish we did, because he would have definitely been open to maybe he's the number one in the D's for me. Malik Willis / Tannehill. We'll put Tannehill up there, but for me, this is Malik Willis.
Okay, that makes sense.
We don't have him on the board. I don't know why, but unfortunately, he's not there. But for me, it would be Malik Willis or Tannehill to start us off with the D's here. Let's go. Who you got next?
Jeez. Slim Pickens. I'm just gonna say a name.
Yeah, it's a name at this point.
Jeez, just because he's young.
Yes, good.
Just because he's young.
Glad you did that. I think Corral gets slept on, man. He had an unfortunate injury. Couldn't play last year. I think he would have actually got in there, but okay, so after this, I'm gonna go Carson Wentz. I still think we saw him flash last year. He started the season hot, dude, and then he just kind of majorly fell off. I don't know what happened there, but I still kind of believe in Carson. I would roll a dice here with him.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Dalton here.
Good idea. I like the Red Rocket.
He played when he spot starts here and there, and he played really, really well. He's going to be – I don't know if he'll start this year, but he could potentially start the season, maybe the first couple of games if whoever they draft isn't ready. So, yeah, that's what I have.
All right. I'm going to move this guy right behind Hal. just because if he is the Buccaneers starting quarterback, I feel like he gives you more upside. I'm going with Kyle Trask.
Okay. All right. I'm going with Matt Ryan.
Nice.
I think he, obviously is a veteran, but I think he, if in the right situation, even maybe as a backup, he could be a very valuable player, as a mentor, or even if he plays, with the right pieces around him, he could still be one of the guys. Well, one of the top 15, top 20.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, he got benched though, man. It's like
top 30 quarterbacks in the league. Okay. In the right situation.
Definitely could be a great backup. Definitely a great backup somewhere. Quarterback goes down. Yeah. Give me, man, this is tough. But just because of the draft pedigree here, I'm taking Darnold. He will be on the 49ers. He's got a great team to go to. And if something happens to Purdy and they trade off Lance, I feel like Sam Darnold could be, hey, now we're looking at some value here. So that's my pick there. And last but not least, we got Long Neck.
Yeah, we got Davis.
Man, Davis.
Long Neck Mills.
Jeez. Look at that neck, man. He's stretching all the way up there to the S rankings with that neck, ain't he? Look
seriously. But anyways, that's what we have. I think this is pretty good. It got kind of, we thought this was going to be a quick video. It ended up not being a quick video. But I'm pretty happy with our selections. Obviously we had some kind of surprises. We had some disagreements. But I think we did a good job.
I think we know that. Yeah, I think as far as what you look at and where they're at in their careers and what they can bring your dynasty team at this point going into 2023 and moving forward, I think you can feel safe with these rankings. To be decided, baby. That's what we do here. Hopefully you guys like and subscribe. And as always, comment down below. Let us know what you thought, even good or bad. We have thick skin here at Dynasty Football Live, so we're not opposed to any negative comments. You guys leave whatever you want down there, and hopefully you guys continue this journey with us. And we want to see you on the next video. Dynasty Football Live out. Mm-hmm.